I want to go over the Cory Sandhagen Umar Nurmagomedov fight. What an incredible fight, guys! I want to start by talking about round five. Round five was the most dominant round, I think, for Umar. Even if you were going to be very generous and call it 2-2, which I'm not calling it 2-2, but let's say you interpreted the grappling, because I think a lot of people might have misinterpreted the grappling. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but let's just say we were super generous. And Cory Sandhagen's corner was not. You can hear that they were like, hey, you got to do everything now. You got to throw the kitchen sink at him. They literally told him, you got to throw the kitchen. You're losing. You're behind. And I think they're correct. The judges had him behind. That was some good advice. You got to go do it. You got to make it ugly. You got to make it dirty. You got to go for the kill, basically. They sounded like they were behind. They were behind the judges' scorecard. And let's say we were going to be really generous and say they got it wrong. The grappling exchanges, which we're going to talk about later, were actually in the favor of Sandhagen. And let's just say we were super generous. The best we can do is give a 2-2. The best we can. And I'm not saying it was 2-2. I'm not saying it was 2-2. I'm saying it was 4-1. But let's say we were crazy generous. Umar would still win. Why? Round 5, he actually got Sandhagen down on the ground. He actually was the more offensive. He won round 5. Now look, there was a very interesting round 1. Okay, and I'm just going to talk about the grappling. Yes, Umar got the fight to the ground, but Sandhagen rolled in a way where he actually got the benefit. He had the better position. At the horn, I should say, Sandhagen had scrambled to the better position. How do you judge that? What do? I shoot, I take you down, but then you roll and you kind of get in this more dominant position. I'm not saying it was the most dominant position. I'm just saying it was actually in the better position. If you ask me, hey, which position would you prefer if you were fighting? I want Sandhagen's position. He got on top. He was in like what we call kind of a reverse Ashi. He rolled beautifully. He escaped. He countered. If you shoot and take me down and I roll and I get into a superior position and the horn rings, who got the better of that exchange? Now, of course, there was striking involved, but I'm talking about specifically just a grappling exchange. It might seem to a layman that, hey, I took you down, you rolled, and we're kind of like in this weird position on the ground, but I took you down, so therefore I'm the one who scored. I don't know how privy the judges are to grappling. I think there should be, they should have some experience in jiu-jitsu because Sandhagen ended in the dominant position. However, does that mean he won the round? No, because the striking was very close, even though I had Umar leading by very little. He initiated the takedown. That was nullified by a nice scramble. Very hard to call first round, but I think the majority of people would give it to Umar because of the striking. There was some other scrambles where Umar got the takedown and controlled Sandhagen. Now, don't forget, in round 1, he took Sandhagen's back. So if we're going to... He took Sandhagen's back for a very short period of time. Sandhagen strips the hook out. Like, I gave it to Umar. Don't get me wrong. I gave him round 1. I gave Umar round 1. I'm not trying to say Sandhagen didn't win round 1. Not at all. I'm just saying there was some interesting scrambles. And in the later rounds, Umar did get kind of like, what do we call it again? We call it like he rolled into a truck almost. He didn't have a twister, but he had like, when you're in the legs, when you're trying to do a banana split, you're trying to do all those leg entanglements, and he kind of hip heisted. And I gave Umar 4-1. But there were some interesting exchanges on the ground. Now, here's where I think Cory really dropped the ball. Cory got taken down twice because he was kicking Umar's leg, and that was the biggest mistake, I think, in the entire fight. Umar is very good at taking people down, and he's even better if you try to kick him because you're handing him your leg. He's an incredible wrestler, and kicking his leg is actually doing him a favor. Cory Sandhagen has excellent boxing. I was really excited to see how their striking is gonna play out because I thought Sandhagen would have more advantage in the striking. However, Umar more than held his own. Umar he switches, but not as much as Sandhagen, and he has a very strong right leg. His right leg Seems to be very quick for the push kick, the head kick, very snappy, very powerful, very dynamic with that right leg. His boxing mechanics are actually a bit strange, unorthodox boxing mechanics. But he makes it work. He seems to be very physical. He seems to be hit hard. Excuse me. Little hiccup there. He seems to hit really, really hard. He seems to have a lot of power, even though his movement seems to be slightly less efficient than Cory Sandhagen. Sandhagen landed some of his own strikes, but still, I gave the striking advantages overall to Umar. Incredible fight. I thought the fight was going to be closer. Umar dominated more than I thought. I would have picked Umar on this, to be honest with you all. However, I was surprised that he was able to dominate so much in the striking. Or I should say, I was surprised Cory Sandhagen couldn't land a flying knee. I was surprised Cory Sandhagen didn't land more strikes like he did when he was fighting Chito. With Chito, his footwork, his angles were just super busy and they were working. It didn't work on Umar. Now, I got to rewatch the fight again because I think it was the first takedown that phased Cory. In the first 60 seconds, Umar was on his back. You guys got to watch that fight again. Think about it. You're an elite striker. You want to razzle-dazzle the guy with movement and all that. The guy takes you down in 60 seconds. He's on your back. Now, Cory got out of the back quick. However, still, like, what do you think that does to a man's mind? He's like, wow, this guy's on my back already. It's been 60 seconds. It makes you more tentative. It makes you think twice before you punch and kick. It makes you wonder, hey, should I throw a knee? Maybe this guy's going to just grab my leg and dump me on the ground. He just started getting defensive and he wasn't firing. I didn't think he was firing like he would, like he did against Chito Vera. First takedown Umar Nurmagomedov did was a beautiful single leg entry. He wrapped his hands around the knee. He pulled himself in, chained it off, got on the back in 60 seconds. Guys, everybody out there in the jiu-jitsu world should be a master of single leg, both offense and defense. Single leg has to be treated like a guard. It's just another guard. You learn De La Riva guard, you learn K guard, you learn butterfly guard, you learn close guard. You got to learn single leg. Single leg is another type of guard. You have the leg between your legs. You're using your legs to assist your hands to take this guy down. It's just another guard. You got to think about it like that. And single leg defense is just another way of saying guard retention. I don't want to get anybody to get past my legs and onto my side. Guys, why do we call the guard in jiu-jitsu the guard? Well, if I have my legs between me and you, I can guard myself. If you get past my legs, now your whole body's attacking my upper body. I have no more, quote, guard. My guard is my legs. Jiu-jitsu is all about learning how to use your legs and hips. Your legs and hips are the great equalizer. If you have great understanding of how to use your legs and hips, you will have great jiu-jitsu. I thought it was such, for the hardcore fans, you know, this was an elite fight. This could have been a title fight. Umar right now jumped from, I believe it was 9 or 10 in class in the world, and he beat the number 2 guy in the world. If I remember correctly, Cory Sandhagen is ranked 2nd in the world. What an incredible jump. You go from, I think, 10th in the world to beating the number 2 guy in the world. You're ranked 10th in the world and you beat the number 2 guy in the world. And guys, I didn't hear anybody complain there was a robbery. I think we all agree. At minimum, Umar won 3 out of the 5 rounds. At minimum, and I think a lot of us would say it's 4 out of the 5, which is an incredible accomplishment for Umar Nurmagomedov. Incredible. Hey, coach, do you think people like Cory are too kind in nature to be elite? That's from Charles Biddle Williams. No, I don't think so. You know, he was throwing with bad intentions. I really think what screwed him up, what really turned his game plan upside down was he got taken down so early. He got his back exposed. Even though he got out of it quickly, it's like, wow, that guy shoots really fast. I wasn't ready for that. It seemed like he was a little bit shocked. And then he got taken down again, yes, but there were 2 takedowns I think he gave for free when he kicked the leg. I would have told him, don't kick the leg. It's not a good idea. And those 2 takedowns, I think, just added to the dominance of Umar. They could have been easily avoided, I think. Hey, coach, do you think Cory could have done better if he put forward some offensive wrestling of his own? That's from DeFi. Yes, totally agree. He shot one time. I was late. I think around 5 he tried to shoot. It was too little, too late. I always tell guys, like honestly, I think if you threaten people with your takedowns and you threaten them with striking, you're kind of creating a dilemma. Like the guy knows, hey, I can get taken down, I lose this entire round. He's got to divide his attention. He's got to be on the lookout for that takedown. Now, if you never shoot, all the guys he's got to put all his eggs in one basket, striking. Focus on the striking. If you're fighting with Khabib, you got to be constantly worried about that takedown. So when he level changes, you're like, hey, I got to sprawl. And then all of a sudden he throws a punch. It's just a great way to divert your opponent's attention. It creates a dilemma. If they, a great example of this, a fantastic example of this, is when Makhachev was fighting Poirier. Poirier's corner was like, do this, do that. And he's like, I can't do too much. Now, I don't want to speak for Poirier, but I think what he meant by that was that if I start throwing too much, this guy's going to get in my legs and it's going to be another lost round. And this guy, he gets on top of me, he can finish. He's a great finisher. It was, in my opinion, his way of telling his coaches, I can't be too aggressive. I got to be constantly alert on the takedown. If the takedown comes too quickly and I don't react, I will find myself on my back, and that's a bad place. So I totally agree. He should have been shooting on Umar, because Umar on his back or Umar on all fours wouldn't be good for him. Sandhagen has very good jiu-jitsu. Sandhagen did not land many significant strikes, many significant shots. Not sure what's his game plan. That's so Arca. Well, you heard his coach. His coach wanted him to throw. I think he got stunned by the takedown. It rattled him. It got him thinking defensively. He wasn't used to that type of speed. Umar is very quick in getting in the legs. Guys, watch that fight again. In the first 60 seconds, he got a takedown and he was on Cory's back. That's incredible. And by the end of the round, he shot again and they rolled. And Cory was constantly having to divert his attention from the wrestling to the striking to the wrestling. It diverts your attention, and all of a sudden you feel like you're dropping plates here. That's a brilliant MMA strategy by Umar Nurmagomedov. Excellent fight, alhamdulillah. Cory had phenomenal wrestling defense and great defensive grappling, but it opened him up to Umar striking with a better rear hand. Umar gets the TKO. That's from Rango. Rango, you said it well. Honestly, you said it really well. And you're right. If he had a powerful cross that he could throw once in a while, it could end the night. And I think Sandhagen did a great job defending the wrestling. Totally great job. But he was lacking in attacks. He had to attack. You can't win just by defending. Now, sometimes we've seen guys just strike. We call it sprawl and brawl. You strike, and you sprawl, and you just don't even attempt to take down. That's when you're outgunned in the wrestling department. It can work. However, I don't think Sandhagen was as outgunned in the wrestling as he thinks. I think he's a very competent wrestler. He should have tried single to double, single to body lock, because he's taller, so maybe body lock, single to body lock. But I don't think he should just strike. You got to get the other guy thinking about defending takedowns as well.